Good morning, everyone. We're just going to give a few more minutes for those who are trying to log in right now, and we'll be starting shortly. All right, good morning, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Lavinia Peavy, and today we will be discussing how to file a quarterly report online for household movers. For your convenience, today's webinar will be recorded and available on our Bureau's website soon. Today we will discuss how to register your account, how to link your license, filing your quarterly report. We will also mention common mistakes, reminders, HHM resources, contact information, and we will have question and answers. Our registration process. We will start by going to our Household Goods and Services website, which is bhgs.dca.ca.gov. Most of you are already familiar with this site already. On the right of the page, you will click on the green box that says, "Click here to register and log in." Then you're going to click the link to register at the bottom of the screen. This is what your registration form will look like. You'll be asked to complete all the areas with an asterisk or what some call a little red star. The birth date must be entered as a 2-digit day, 2-digit month, and 4-digit year. The email that you use will also be your username to sign into your Connect account and to retrieve your temporary password. You have the option of opting in or out of having your notifications sent to you by cell number via your Connect system. This will be useful for those who may not check their emails as often, but you still want to be informed of what's happening with your account. Once the form is completed, you're going to hit Submit Registration. You will receive notification that a temporary password has been sent to your email address. After retrieving the temporary password, you will then go back to the login screen and enter your username, which again was your email address, and the temporary password. You will then be prompted to create a new password. This password must be at least 15 characters long, contain upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and special characters. Congratulations! You have successfully registered and are now logged into your Connect dashboard. Now we're going to transition to the live viewing of your Connect system, and we ask that you please bear with us as I make this transition. So just give me a few minutes here. Okay, so now we are on the live dashboard of the Connect system. At the top left section, this is for all of your licenses. And this is where the license link button is located. You're going to click on the license link button. Here is where you're going to enter your CalT number. And we noticed that this was where a lot of you were having issues. So we listened to you and we've made some adjustments. So now you can enter your CalT by just entering the digits only, and the system is going to convert it for you. And then you're going to hit next. And as you can see, the system converted by adding the prefix for you. Then you're going to be asked a series of questions that pertain to your business, and you're going to answer those according to how your business record is set up with the Bureau, and then you're going to hit submit. You will receive a message stating that you have successfully linked your license, and then you're going to click Back to Dashboard. Now we're going to discuss how to complete your quarterly report online with Connect. In the licensing section again of your dashboard, you will see Quarterly Reports box, which is this right here. You're going to click that box. You will see a list of all the quarterlies that need to be completed. Under the Actions column, you will then click on the pencil icon to access the quarterly report that you would like to complete. So we are going to click on quarter 4. And as you can see, the quarterly report is set up in a tabulation format. Tab 1 is your Instructions tab. This tab gives general information about the report. And after reading through the information, you will scroll down to the bottom and click Save and Continue. This will make the tab turn green with a green check mark. Tab 2 is the CalT Company Name and Address tab. This tab verifies the general information about your permit to help determine the questions that will be asked regarding your business in the upcoming tabs. So as you can see, it reveals your CalT number and your company name. The first question asks if there has been any information changed regarding your permit. It's a yes or no question. If there has been any changes, we ask you to click yes and to contact the Bureau so that we can make those changes for you. It does not mean that you cannot continue. It just means that we ask that you call the Bureau so that we can make those changes, and then you can continue doing the rest of the revenue. If it's no, then you will mark no and continue forward. The second question ask, did you operate as a prime mover, subhauler, or both? And if you have a question as to which one, if you're unsure, at the top, it gives a definition of each option. For a prime mover, the definition is the business that entered into the contract with the consumer for a household move. The definition of a subhauler is an independent contractor paid by the prime mover to move household goods. There are instances where you could have done both for that quarter. So you would choose whichever option pertains to what you did that quarter. Physical address just gives you what we currently have listed for you with your business. And then you're going to click Save and Continue. And that will turn your tab green with the check mark as well. Tab 3 is your Gross Operating Revenue tab. This is where you're going to add your revenue, and the system will also help with self-calculations. So here is where we're going to put our total gross and hit Tab. And as you can see, the system automatically moved to the next section where we can add another answer. As you can see, when you roll over the fields that you cannot enter, it gives you this little circle with a slash through it. I like to call it the Ghostbuster sign, which means you cannot enter. So what is happening is the system is self-calculating. Again, makes it a lot simpler for you. So it goes down to the next area where we can give an answer. And that is where it asks the subject to maximum rate tariff for. The first question being, do you have revenue subject to the fee earned from the transportation of used household goods subject to the maximum rate tariff for? And what that means is it's asking if you moved household goods such as furniture, clothes, appliances, etc. If the answer is yes, then you did do a move that is subject to the maximum rate tariff. And you would click yes, and you would put the amount of your revenue that was subject to that rate. And click Tab. The second question is, do you have revenue subject to the fee earned from transportation of used household goods that is not subject to the maximum rate tariff for? And that just basically means, did you do a move such as office to office moves or military moves? And if that answer was a yes, then you would put down the amount of revenue of which you did those moves. There are opportunities where movers may have done both, where you've done moves for this that were not subject, as well as moves that were subject. So again, you would just put the amount of your revenue that pertained to either one of those moves in this area. So for the example that I'm using today, we're going to mark no, and that all of ours were just all allocated to those that were subject to the max rate tariff. And then you're going to hit Tab. And then it moves down to the next area where we can give an answer. And scrolling up, you can see all of these fields were automatically filled in by our system. So again, makes it very simple. The system does the calculations for you. So the next question is gross earnings paid to you by your subhaulers for shipments of used household goods utilizing California highways and roads. Because we did not have any subhaulers, the answer here would remain as a 0, and we will click Tab and it goes to the next available question. And this question is, did you pay intra-city transportation business excise license taxes? And this is stating, did we pay the city that we were working in? Did we pay additional taxes directly to the city? The answer is yes or no. If you did, and the taxes were more than $100, you are asked to put yes, the amount that was paid. And again, if it was more than $100, you are asked to provide proof and upload that proof into the system as well. So in this case, we're going to mark no and hit tab. And then that's going to give us our total at the very end. And as you can see, it also self-calculated all of the information here and gave us a total of $615. And that is going to be the total due for this quarter. And we're going to hit save and continue. And that brings us to tab number 4, which is our revenue summary tab. This tab shows the full summary of amounts entered based on the answers from the gross operating revenue tab. Look over the amounts to make sure that you submitted the correct amounts, and if there are any errors, this is the time to go back to tab 3 and make those corrections and resave that tab to recalculate the amounts. If the amounts are correct, then you're going to hit save and continue. So as you can see, it relists everything that you put in with the totals listed and the total that was stated in the previous tab. So you're going to hit save and continue. And it brings us to tab 5, which is the certification of submitted information and attestation tab. This tab is where you are certifying that all the amounts listed are correct under penalty of perjury. You will type your name and title. The person completing this form must be listed on the permit. These are people such as owner, officer, member, or manager. So after entering this information, you will then click Save and Continue. And as you can see, after doing that, tab 6 will then populate. This is our Fee and Payment tab. This tab will only show once all the previous tabs have been completed and showing green with check marks. If anything was left undone, the Payment tab will not show. Double check the amounts listed and make sure they match with what was shown in the revenue summary. And that's the amount here. You have 3 options to pay. You can pay by credit card, check, or money order. And please note, if you choose the option of check, it is not an electronic check. We do not accept electronic checks. Both check and money order must be mailed along with a copy of your receipt to the Bureau, and we will complete the payment and approval once received here at the Bureau. Paying by credit card, which we do suggest you do, it would be approved right away, immediately. And you don't have to worry about any credit card fees. We at the Bureau, we care about you, so we will take care of those fees for you. So you don't have to worry about paying anything additional. Just the totals that's shown on the summary, that is what you'll be paying. So we do suggest that you pay by credit card so it's all taken care of. All right, so all you're going to do is fill out the form here. and then you're going to hit Pay and Submit. And we ask you only hit Pay and Submit once to avoid double payment. And you will receive a successful submission receipt with the option to print your invoice, as well as you will receive confirmation emails. And that email, again, would be what you used for your username. Once you hit Back to Dashboard, you can immediately see that what you have just done has been approved. And all of your information as stated, because you paid by credit card, is all done. And you have no worries. You can go on about your day knowing that you have completed everything and you have no worries. Again, if you choose the check or money order option, instead of saying approved, it will say payment pending. And once we receive it here at the Bureau and do our processes, then it will be approved once we complete our processes here. And that is how you complete your filing online with the Bureau in our Connect system. Now we will move on to common mistakes that are made with some of our permit holders. Why do I get an error message when registering, even though I did everything right? There's a possibility that someone from your business has already registered your permit, and we ask that you please contact the Bureau and we will help you figure that out. Why can't I see anything on my dashboard when I log in? If your status is showing revoked, denied, or canceled, you will not be able to see any results. So we ask that you also contact the Bureau and we'll help you figure out what's going on with your status. Why do I keep getting errors or loading screens when using Connect? Check the browser that you're using. Connect works best on Chrome, but Edge or Firefox may also work. Safari has been found to have the most issues though. Why did I get locked out of my account after trying to log in? If you log in with the wrong password 3 times, the system will lock you out for 2 hours as a security mechanism. If you don't remember your password, it is best to hit Forgot Password link and change your password so that you don't get locked out. As a reminder, starting October 24th, 2024, penalty fees will be applied to all past due quarterly reports. Notices have been sent out as a reminder to make sure you are all caught up. In addition to this webinar, there are resources available on our website, such as a video, a step-by-step instruction on registering and filing quarterly reports online. In a moment, we will begin taking questions. If your questions don't get answered by the end of this webinar, please contact the HHM division by emailing or calling us as shown on the screen. We ask that if you have any questions pertaining to the max rate tariff or state laws and regulations, to please list those questions along with your name and contact information in the chat section of this webinar in the lower right of the computer screen, or if you are on a mobile device, it will be after the 3-dot Other Options icon, and one of our staff members will contact you. We also ask that if you have questions specific to your household license, to leave your CALT number, question, name, and contact information in the chat section of the webinar as well. Thank you so much for listening, and we will now begin our question and answer section.
And this is the moderator. If you would like to ask a question, we're going to display a slide that shows which kind of questions would go to which kind of venue. If you have general questions that you think everyone would like to hear, you can click on the question mark icon, and that will bring up the Q&A box. At that point, you can type in, "I'd like to make a comment," or you can type in your question into that box and click send. I'll read those questions out loud. If you would like to ask your own question out loud, you can click the hand icon, and our call-in users can press *3 to raise their hand. If you do have specific questions about laws and regulations, max rate tariffs, or specific issues with your license, you can open the chat button and then leave your name and contact information along with information about your question, and someone from the Bureau will get back to you. So does anyone have any questions that they would like help with? Let's see, we do have a question from Donna Roses. If you'd like to put into the chat your contact information, someone from the Bureau can get back to you. We do have a raised hand from Maddie Beck-Magenbetoff. Sorry for mangling the name. I'm going to send you a request to unmute yourself so that you can ask your question. You're unmuted. Go ahead. Yes,
Hello.
Maddie, you can go ahead.
Hi. Thank you for your time with this webinar. I have a question regarding the graphs we need to fill out. Like, as far as I know, we don't indicate the revenue from the jobs where we implemented our job in the same property, as I know. And I want to ask, do we need to include tips or charges for packing materials into that revenue amount? And yeah, and also the second question, independent contract individuals we pay subhaulers, independent contractors, like individuals, for the job they done for us. So do we need to exclude that expenses from the total revenue? And the third question, we last 3 months we moved a couple times offices. So does it mean we don't include office move profit to gross revenue?
Okay, I'll speak to the last portion of it as far as your office moves. The sub-question, you were moving from an office to another office, like from one office building to another office building?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so that would be something that would not be a part of the max tariff. So that would be secondary. Is that what you're asking as far as something that would, if it would be pertaining
I
to
mean,
the max? Or are you
yeah,
speaking of just in general for your gross in general?
yeah. When we indicate gross revenue,
Mm-hmm.
do we need to exclude the profit we got from the office moves?
To my knowledge, and I'll also defer to my coworker Aubrey as well, but the total gross would still be inclusive of that. But as far as what is going to be held to the max rate, that's where it's separated, but the total gross would still be inclusive. So my coworker and also my chief as well can chime in as well. But to my knowledge, that would still be inclusive of your entire gross, but it would be split in the sense of what is has to be held to the max rate tariff, the fee part.
Okay, and the same question regarding tips, charges for packing materials, do we need to exclude it from the total gross amount, or we need to just keep it in the total?
That part I am not familiar with as far as like your products that you have to purchase. I'm assuming that's what you're meaning, right? What you have to purchase as well as what is given above what is charged, right? As far as tips and things like that.
Yeah,
You're asking if that needs to be included in what is reported for gross, right?
that's right.
Okay.
This is Justin. I apologize for jumping in. Aubrey, you can speak over me as well. It would be considered revenue if essentially you're charging X amount of dollars for to provide whatever that equipment is to your customer. But I think when we get into like these specifics, and we do this quite often, we can have a back and forth with you offline just because it will be fairly specific to your business. Aubrey, is there anything you want to add?
Really, I've never had the question about tips. I would assume that that would be treated as
Oh,
like,
I apologize. I misheard you. Did you say tips, sir, or were you talking about pieces of equipment you offer your customers?
I'm talking about both tips and some packing materials they ask, customers ask. Yeah.
Tips, I would actually need to consult with our counsel just to clarify, because that's a fairly specific area of California law, and I don't want to give you bad advice there. So we can certainly follow up with you if you have your contact information. And then regarding the packing equipment, it would count towards your revenue just because you're providing. It's sort of like in accounting, even though you would have a cost for those, whatever you're actually charging and whatever the customer is actually giving you, that would go towards your total. But I'm happy to sort of get into more specifics with you offline.
Thank you.
And this is the moderator. We did have someone else express interest in finding the answers to those questions. Are there any other requests for an opportunity to comment on any of the items from the webinar? Again, we have a Q&A box. Go ahead.
Just before we move on, based on that comment, I'm just going to ask a question sort of the group to put in the chat. Is it something where you'd like sort of an explanatory document on our website with maybe some FAQs that we would consider? Like where we would include tips, where we'd include equipment, and maybe some other items? And you can just respond in the chat, just so I sort of know how to proceed.
We did get one person saying sure.
and can I go back to the question the gentleman had about how to report office to office moves? Sir, ultimately it depends on how you answered the question in your application. If you have a motor carrier permit through the DMV, you do not have to report your office to office moves at all. If you don't have a motor carrier permit through the DMV, then you do report it, but you are charged a lower rate for when you input it into the quarterly report. You're including office to office moves and the not tariffed section of the quarterly report.
And are there any other questions that anyone has? You can raise your hand by clicking on the hand icon to ask your question out loud. Our call-in users can press *3, and then we have a chat box as well as a Q&A box. The chat is generally for questions about laws and regs, rate tariffs, or specific issues to your license. And then the Q&A box is more for questions that you'd think would apply to everyone that you'd like to have answered out loud. I did see a hand go up and then it came back down. Donna Roses, was that you? All right, at this point, I don't see any further requests other than the chat ones, which I will email to the board staff or the Bureau staff after this session. So Lavinia, shall I close up the question and answer features?
And we have Donna Roses saying that she can't unmute herself.
Oh, all right, super, thank you. Donna, you may look for, I know you've been in the chat feature. Did you want me to read out the question that you typed in?
She said, yes, please read it out loud.
Okay, certainly. So Donna had asked, do we just submit the total number and don't need to submit a P&L or other proof of jobs completed?
So I'll answer that question. Yes, if we do have questions, we may follow up. But yes, that's essentially how you would file your quarterly report. That's how the Public Utilities Commission has done it historically. We're trying to follow that tradition as well.
Wonderful. And then there's a follow-up question of, are there any audits?
Yes, there are. And it really just depends on the numbers. But it does happen on occasion.
All right. So at this point, I believe that is the end of the comments. If anyone would like to ask a question or make a comment, you're welcome to. And instructions are on the screen.
And just while we're waiting, I guess the one other comment, again, I know today's focus is really about just making sure that the technology is working and everyone's got their accounts set up. But we do chat with the FMCSA. We do have access to various records that you file with the federal government, and that's sort of when we see inconsistencies, that's when we have questions. And I know not all of you are filing with the FMCSA, but many of you are.
All right, I do not see any further requests. Oh, here's one more from Maddie. Duplicating the questions that he had asked. As far as I know, we don't indicate profit from the jobs we implemented in the same property. And then
I don't think I quite follow, but again, you do have our phone number. I think when it gets to the specific filing of the revenue reports, we're happy to have a discussion. I'm also going to be discussing with my advisory council on November 14th whether or not we should actually put an FAQ on the website about providing some more information on how to file your quarterly report. My primary concern today is to make sure the tech is working for everyone.
And then again, Maddie had included the, do I need to include tips and do I need to include packing material costs into the total gross revenue?
And just to reiterate, when you are putting the information for us to get back with you, to please include your CalT number and your contact information for us to get back with you so that we can actually inquire and do the research necessary so we can have the proper answers for you.
Wonderful. And we do have the phone number for Maddie, and we do have his CalT number. So I will email that to board staff.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And I do not see any other questions at this time. So
Well, all
would you
right,
like
everyone,
to?
I certainly appreciate everyone's time today. Lavinia, Joanne, thank you so much. Anne, thank you as always for doing a great job. We will make sure that this webinar goes up on our website for reference. And again, we encourage you to reach out and give us a call if you have any questions. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yes, thank you.
And this webinar is now concluded. Thank you very much.